Yo, what's up guys? So we got Vixx, Fantasy. I like Vixx. I've always been impressed with Vixx. I think they're an amazingly talented group, and I've always been impressed with their ability to tell a story very well with their choreo, with their lyrics, with just their overall performance. I think they nail it. Vixx is a group that I've been watching all the way since JAJ, and I've really been impressed with them ever since, Error, Beautiful Liar, I guess it's Vixx LR, and we got more recently, we got Chained Up, Dynamite. They've got a lot of different concepts they pull off really well, and I think that's the mark of a very good and talented group to be able to do all those different things. So I'm excited for this. Let's do Fantasy. 15 plus. Who's she? Oh, she's a fantasy. Gotta be careful, man. Very different than Dynamite. Man, this is very dark sounding. Whoa, look at that necklace though. That necklace is like a crown of thorns. Like the one that Jesus wore when he was crucified. What's he handing him? Nice. There's that complex choreo I love. I like this sound. This is captivating. I'm sorry I'm being quiet, but I need to focus on this. You know what this reminds me of a little? Got In, Paradise Lost. It's like a similar look, similar sound. I love that. Oh hey! He's trying to keep him back from the door. Okay, this is awesome. So the door, is that representing the fantasy? What in the world? It's like they're doing some like witchcraft almost, like little lab work, potions. Ooh. You get it. Now he's wearing the crown of thorns. Because the fantasy will ultimately end up killing him. Wow. This is powerful, guys. That's beautiful. That was beautifully orchestrated piano, and I just loved how it was complementing just the overall dark ambiance of the music video. I feel like the story itself was kind of obscure but straightforward. The concept was straightforward with the fantasy, but it could be interpreted a lot of different ways, but we'll get to that in a second. Wow, that was an amazing song. I loved how the chorus just shot and just boomed out of nowhere. I wasn't prepared for that. I thought it was going to be more of just like a slower build to the end. No, this just rocked it in the beginning. It still did build, but that chorus came out and just like killed and slayed. And the choreo was on point. That's another reason I just really have been impressed with Vixx. A lot of respect for their choreography and the way that they can pull off very complex concepts like this. The only song I've ever tried to learn the choreo for myself from start to finish was Vixx's Chained Up, and so that gave me a really big appreciation, not just for complex choreography, but for Vixx. One of the most impressive videos I've ever seen, and one of my favorite reactions that I've ever done, hands down, is Got In, Paradise Lost. That blew me away. I thought that that concept was pulled off beautifully. She had that dark sort of Eve feel with Adam and Eve, and I feel like the whole concept with all the imagery and the symbolism that they put into that, it matched perfectly with the biblical undertones. I feel like for this, it was a lot of the similar feels with some biblical undertones. There was a lot of light versus dark. There was a lot of crown of thorns being shown here, and I thought that that was representative of the ultimate fate, if you will, of getting wrapped up in this fantasy and just getting lost in that world. So you saw a lot of light versus dark. You know, it was very similar with Gaian's Paradise Lost, but with this, I felt like it was more so representing truth versus lie, fantasy versus fiction. You saw the guy walking towards the door, which was probably representing the fantasy, you know, going into the fantasy world, deciding to stay there, maybe after a relationship has ended, and that being sort of an obsession and a fantasy of yours that you know will just ultimately destroy you and you need to move on. And the person who tried to hold him back, he was dressed in white, representing truth. So I think that the truth of the matter, if he was able to face the truth, he would no longer be interested in the fantasy, he'd be able to move on past it, but he hasn't been able to do that, which is why it's all destructive and harmful for him in the long run. And he seems to know that. I think the person that this song is speaking through is someone who understands the fact that it's a fantasy and understands ultimately what hurt him, but it's almost this love-hate relationship where he realizes if I remove the fantasy, there won't be anything left. I think that was a fear, not necessarily even a realistic fear, but that's certainly a fear from the speaker that this song is trying to convey. And that's powerful. I mean, that's the reason that I just absolutely love K-pop in general, because they can talk about some really serious, rich, deep, dark topics, like being wrapped up in a fantasy world to the point where you end up just getting crucified from it. I was very impressed with the raps in this, because it's very difficult to incorporate something like rap into something that's so deep and rich and full of a lot of classical undertones. It's very difficult to pair that with anything to do with K-hip-hop, but they pulled it off well. I'm gonna have to watch this again, guys, because there was just a lot in that music video, not just the sound, but the visuals. I feel like there's a lot of things that they were dropping hints for. There were some things that I couldn't really understand. It was a lot of things with like that scientific setup with all the different chemicals and experiments and lab equipment, and that guy was tied up. It looked like against his will he was struggling. What that showed me kind of is that it seemed as if the person became obsessed with the point of trying to make the fantasy a reality at any given cost, at any cost possible. Even if he starts dabbling in witchcraft or alchemy or whatever he ends up doing, he's decided that's going to be his goal, even if it's the end of him. I was very quiet during this reaction. I've only done that in a few other reactions where I just get very quiet, but typically it's in a music video like this, a concept like this, where you just get so absorbed and it draws you in so much that I think that's the mark of a good music video. If it's able to draw you in that much to the point where you just need to be focused on it and you kind of need to tune everything else out, that's the goal in my mind. I think that music videos and songs, they should captivate you. They should incite emotion, and they should get you thinking about things in a way that you haven't before. And they did that. They did all four of those things. It's amazing. I really do appreciate Vixx's concept here. I think they nailed it. I think they pulled it off. I didn't doubt them for a second. And I know that they'll continue doing concepts, and I know they'll continue making great material. And I'm just excited to go along for the ride. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for requesting this. Please leave any other suggestions and comments down below. Definitely check out my Snapchat and my Twitter, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.